Awesome. Good. I just wanted to give you literally a couple of hours ago, I had a meeting with a veterinarian that's involved with multiple associations in Michigan. And I was presenting to her the proposal, 100% of her employees qualified. And the proposal literally took me 7 minutes to go over. The only reason it took that long is because another vet that rents some space that's a separate business walked by and she said, "Hey, I'm doing this with Will. You should talk to him." And I got her name and number. I've got to call her next week to sit down with her. And so, guys, referrals are that easy. The proposals going over that are are pretty easy. Right now, my average is about 15 minutes. So some are much faster. I had one that was 8 minutes last week. So, with that being said, I'm going to end talking about this, but I just want to warmly welcome one of our founders, Adam Citron, that's just been absolutely killing it with number of employers that have been coming in, getting censuses, and doing proposals. And Adam, if you can unmute yourself, I greatly appreciate that, buddy. And just give us a
Unmuted.
little, yeah, thank you for being on. Give us a little background of, who you are as a person and some background info of your experience in the B2B space.
Sure, happy to. And hello, everyone. So my background, so first off in the B2B space has been mostly my whole career. Maybe a year or two out of college back in the day, doing internal at an organization. The rest of it I have been consulting to and selling to businesses my entire career. Different things at different points, but my whole career. What your other question? How did I get started with employer's choice?
Well, no. So a little
Oh,
personal
sorry.
information. We want to
Oh,
make sure that you're a real
personal. Oh,
person too. I know
I'm
some
AI.
things, but I know you're a dad,
Yeah, I'm a divorced dad. I have a beautiful 11-year-old daughter who is my world, and I love very much. I very much enjoy being a father. It's one of the reasons why I have the business that I do. My business is about 2 years old, the strategic conduit. Um, but I'm sure we'll get into that piece. But yeah, no, I also, I'll add in, maybe something that would have come in a later question or not, but, I do have a personal health story, and there's a reason why, this is very important to me, and I am very passionate about it. And I'm able to bring that to calls as well, and sharing my story and helping others to be healthier through that story. I've been trying to, help people where I can to be healthier throughout my career, and not even just business career, because I'm lucky in my own health situation that I figured out a way to stay and be healthy and what I need to do on a daily basis, and I advocate for others to do the same in similar situations.
So your primary company though, Adam, is you're kind of a quote unquote like broker of multiple companies that finds money for companies in multiple ways. Is that kind
Yeah,
of the way to
I,
address?
I say I'm a broker and consultant, or as my title says, I'm a conduit.
Okay.
And so I have always had solutions around whatever I was doing, that my clients could use. Sometimes they were very close to what I was doing. So I was in IT for many years. And so all the things that touched IT, I made sure to have really good vendors that can help my clients, not just friends, but really good vendors. And I spent a lot of time validating that, and was very comfortable early on in my career monetizing, bringing value to these to my clients with solutions that I had vetted and that I stay very close to ensure that they get a strong win. Over my career, I expanded that to other solutions, and I love consulting. I love bringing value. And when I wanted to go back into having, a business again, that wasn't, just me consulting, um, I wanted that model to be me and full time. And so I like the idea of vetting out solutions and doing it before bringing it to someone, to have a comfort level to save them time and effort, and oftentimes money. And I would say that my solutions really focus on increasing the profit and or the revenue of an organization.
Gotcha. So Adam, let me ask you this. How many people have you approached with employer's choice on the phone to set an appointment have told you no, they wouldn't sit down with you?
Um, from a percentage basis, there's relatively few that have said no. I'm not willing to hear more. Occasionally you get not right now, right? Which my
That's
method
not
is,
a
well, great,
no.
in a month,
Yeah.
let's put it on the calendar.
Yep.
I don't care if we put it out a month out. I've had a couple of people that had some sort of plans already in place, something similar or not so similar, but they weren't really willing to kind of go through it and look at it. But that was very few. Most people, especially because I'm talking to people that I know, or someone is brought to me from one of my referral partners, um, or agents. So they're much more likely to at least be open and hear something new.
And the reason why I asked that, Adam, is I don't know where, I mean, we're all at different stages on this training call, right? And I don't want anybody to think like I am the national sales trainer and I've sat down with it. I haven't had anybody tell me no, they wouldn't sit down with me yet. But because of my title, which is just it's all it is a title, and I've just got a little bit more experience than some of you guys. It's that I don't like they might say, well, it's easy for you, Will, because you're the one, blah, blah, blah. So I want somebody seeing somebody else out in the field just like you. And there's others on this call that they haven't had anybody say, no, I won't sit down with you. So really, your knows where I already have a program like that and not so many words. Um, and I don't know how it's going to be a benefit. It's not, no, I don't want to even hear anything.
Yeah, I don't think I've had anyone that just says, I don't want to hear anything that could, better my company or help my employees. I have definitely never heard that. And based on the person and how I got introduced or how I know them or how long I've known them, I will adjust, a little bit what I say and how I say it. To be blunt, there are times when I go to folks with another one of my solutions kind of attached. So a potential no for one isn't a no for both, to just learn more. And then there are other individuals where I come to and it's more of, just learn about something new.
Yeah,
Like again, the closer you are, the more you can say, listen, you can't even say no to me. At least learn about something new. My job is to educate you. You're smart. You can make an educated decision on what's best for your business, but you can't make an educated decision unless you're educated.
absolutely. So going back to because you just answered kind of how you approach this, right? And you gauge on different scales. I know the script that I give everybody. Like I talked to a friend of mine yesterday, said, I want to show you what I'm doing. When can we set a Zoom? That's all I said. But I'm
Yep.
close enough with him, right? It's so you can gauge it. If I have to use the script, I'll use it. Most of the time it's like, and I have used a lot. I use a different approach if I'm that close. I wanted to show you what I'm doing. But I that's how you're getting in front of them. Now, when you're giving that presentation, and you and I've talked about this, about how important the health part, what part of your story do you add in your presentation when you're talking to them?
Yeah. So, of course, I make sure someone knows generally what I do,
Yeah.
right? Because I make sure someone doesn't know I only do one thing just for me, because again, a no for one thing doesn't mean a no for something else. And I want to bring value. But I will focus on why I decided to bring employer's choice out to the market. And again, it is very personal, and I'll tell my story, and I'll tell everyone here my story. I have no shame whatsoever in this world. I'm 45 years old. I have Crohn's. I've had Crohn's for about 23 years. I've had 13 surgeries, a few of them, that almost took me off this out of this life. Um, and I've had my entire colon removed, a total colorectomy. Um, and I spend a lot of time, effort, and money every single day working on my health, and I have to. And now a lot of people, I say that, what I'll say to you is what I say to them as well, which is most people will say to me, Adam, you look great. Adam, you look healthy. Adam, you don't look 45. I say, well, thank you, and I appreciate that, but it's because I put so much time, effort, and money into my body and my life every single day. And if I don't do certain things in the morning, I'm a mess in the afternoon. And if I don't do certain things, during any given day, I could be a mess for multiple days. I don't care how healthy it looks. I might be 45, but I always say my body is, 80 on the inside. And it's been through a lot. And so for me, would someone on this plan avoid getting Crohn's and going through what I went through? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I do know that I went through hell in order to figure out how to do things more holistically, how to, really treat food as my medicine, et cetera, et cetera. And so I would have loved if I didn't have to go through those trial and tribulations, and I had a program like Employer's Choice that allowed me to work with professionals to assess myself, to see where I might have issues, and to work on getting better in my health. Maybe I wouldn't have gone down this path. Maybe I'm not saying I wouldn't have gotten Crohn's. Maybe I wouldn't have had all the surgeries I had. Maybe I wouldn't have had the big one. Who knows? But I think it's really important for people to have it. And the other thing that I do add, and this is very personal for me, in that I spend a lot of time trying to support others that have what I have. IBD, Crohn's, or people specifically that have had their colon removed. I'm part of Facebook groups and some other groups, and it kills me to see people suffer how they suffer, or sucked into the medical system and taking a bunch of pills and just not feeling good. Or even worse, I'm very grateful that I've been able to, after all these years, support myself. And we all know that, supporting yourself can be very expensive, whether it's buying organic or, all these other things that I do, that I'm very grateful I've been able to afford. And it drives me crazy when someone can't afford those, and they're really sick, and they're just getting worse and worse because they don't have, and it's not just finances, but they haven't been told how to get healthier, what to buy at the grocery store. Some of the simple things sometimes can truly save someone's life. So I'm very, very passionate about health. We only have one body, and it's one of the reasons why, Employer's Choice means a lot to me. And I share that at the beginning of every presentation I do, no matter how well I know the person.
Adam, that's amazing. One of the things that we have found as far as, looking in our share file system and everything else, the people that seem to have the majority of the accounts and the majority of the activity have been, whether it's personal health that they've suffered from, like you have, or watching somebody, go down in a way that could have been prevented. Like I talk about my dad, and I mean, I really believe that he might still be alive today if he would have had this, because he hated going to the doctor, but I know he'd play around with some app on his phone trying to figure out how to get himself healthy. And so, guys, I bring up the stories every week, and Adam is very passionate about his. But if you don't have a personal story about your own health, borrow someone's story of somebody that you cared about, that you watched decline. Because I'm like, all of the stats and the numbers are great, but at the heart of the program really is the fact that we are predicting disease and saving lives, and it's a lot more meaning to it when you attach somebody to that. And so, Adam, I know that you have a lot of personal sales that you go after. You have sales agents and referral agents, and the referral agents are just giving you a name and phone number. But kind of give us an idea of how that has worked and how you've navigated like some of those waters, bringing on these accounts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things that um, made me feel a great match with Employer's Choice is the model I had before I knew Employer's Choice existed. Right?
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for Angela, who's here, and we've worked together for a while on different things. And she brought me in here, but knows my model, right? And my model is, I have about 50, a little less than 50 signed, of those referral partners, agents, in different tiers, that I've had for a while now. I've gotten a bunch of new ones recently that were very specific in specific industries based on working with Employer's Choice. But it has been my model And I emulated that model after something that was in the IT industry. And so the fact that this model kind of went along with it fit very well with me because, again, I have my own client base. I have my own history of working with folks that I go out and I talk to. And then I work with, my referral partners, agents, really to help them bring value, additional value to their network and their clients and to build residual revenue streams.
Awesome.
And so, to add a little bit to that, right? I mean, my work is supporting them. So if I get up every day and figure out, all right, well, for the prospects I'm working with and clients, what do I need to do for them? And for my partners and agents, what support do they need? How can I help them? Not sure if I just froze or if it was Zoom. Um, but yeah, and then this when I bring on new solutions, which I try to do fairly rarely, so I can really focus on them. And I've had a lot of focus here on employer's choice. I have specifically gone out and expanded and brought on a bunch of new people to work with me that I had multiple ideas and areas to go and types of folks to grab and get that could be successful. So I had a lot of fun with it. Brought on some really great folks that are starting to, do and get more activity. And it keeps going, right? I just had a great conversation, before this. Couple of organizations that are even a little bit bigger that have systems and automation and actually want to kind of build in recommendations for this into what they do for clients to at least get someone to raise their hand or indicate that, hey, they're interested, and leads kind of fall out of that automation. But it's kind of looking at it in different ways on the right folks, and that have the same values and focus on the ethics of what we're doing and the reason why we're doing it, right? Again, and I agree with you, Will. It's not just about money for them to save. It's not just about money for us to make. We have to make money and they have to save money. That's important, right? But there are a lot of different ways for them to save money, and there's a lot of different ways for us to make money. So, the why is really a key component here. And I try to validate and understand the why of those folks as well, because I don't want 1,000 people giving me leads. I'd rather have much, much, much less than that, but consistency with folks that, we're building these revenue streams together. They're getting value out of it, have some passion around it, and everyone rises together.
So let me ask you this, not your referral partners, because they're just giving you names and numbers and you're mopping it up, right? That's how you're,
Yes.
so
Yep.
your agents, what are the demographics like are of your agents? I'm assuming they're in the B2B space already and probably doing something kind of like how you did, bringing value to businesses, right?
Yes, absolutely. Give you, even some more examples, right? So I typically look at folks where I just brought on a new person recently. They've been in their industry, B2B, for 20 some years.
Mhm.
So they're deep, they're well known, like their relationships run deep. They have clients that they've had for 10 plus years. And just the proactive introductions from us starting to work together, they love it, they latch on, and a proactive introduction, what I call that transfer of trust
Yeah.
to someone, for that type of individual. I say, hey, listen, we're going to work together. We want this to be successful. The first 30 days working together, I need X amount of these introductions, and I'll spend some time with them to help them and strategize what that messaging is, which folks are best, and we get into that type of scenario. And then there are other folks that are in somewhat similar spaces. So I have some agents now that are insurance brokers themselves.
Got it.
And so for them to add on something like this, if they're already talking about, let's say, benefits as an example, it's already something that they're having a conversation with. One of the new brokers I just brought on, she only does employee benefits. Is she on here today? I don't think so. She only does employee benefits, and part of our conversation was, not only does she do employee benefits, but she's set up where like she's the one. She takes care of the payroll. She manages it, all that stuff on behalf of the client. And so I was talking to John yesterday. I'm like, John, I want to get this person, validated. I want them to talk to the team. I want them to validate that she knows what she's talking about so she can assist in that process. So it's a type of person where literally every single person they could have a conversation with, and not just because they're a business, but because that's what she does for a living. She helps people with their benefits, helping them to get better benefits at a cost effective manner for their employees.
Now, have you found, and I have seen through this and in the several companies beforehand, health insurance agents, if they get it immediately, they're like potentially great agents, but sometimes it's hard to get them to shift out of the whole health insurance, and they're so focused on this detail, or because that's how they're trained in the health insurance world. Have you kind of found that when you've looked at some of these agents?
I haven't yet, but I'm not surprised. And it's not like I've talked to 50 of them either, right? And
Okay.
again, I'm not going cold. So either I'm introduced to that broker or
Yeah.
I already know them, right? So I reach out on LinkedIn. Hey, I haven't talked to you in a few years. Let's catch up. Love to hear more about what you're doing, share more about what I'm doing. And in the phrase that I do, this is the one you guys can steal, is I'd like to get on a call and just explore synergies between us. That's the phrase that works.
You know,
Explore some synergies.
the key word in that phrase is explore, because it's
Exactly.
non-committal.
Exactly.
It's non-committal. I don't know if you're going to be a fit for me. I don't know if I'm going to be a fit for you. That's what explore means. So,
Absolutely. And so again, I've only had, let's say 6 different conversations with health insurance folks,
yeah,
from the I'm a broker on my own to, I have one organization that has, 120 clients that, we're, getting into our third meeting to talk about bringing this to every single client that they have, and the structure to do it and how we want to do it, and, what that looks like, because they see the value in it. Um, and so again, I talk to folks about, while I'm interested in someone, you know, bringing this to a net new client, or the next time they have a conversation with someone, there's definitely value in that, and you can grow a nice, relationship together. But I really focus on those that are excited, and are willing to put in that effort the first 30 to 45 days to get some activity going. Because if they don't, it becomes one of many other even good opportunities that they just goes to the wayside.
yeah.
But if I can get them going and we start to build some pipeline, and maybe they introduce 5 or 10 people to me, and a good amount of them I have calls scheduled with, or now they're in the pipeline, and I get to share that information with them, so they get excited as well, that they are interested. Oh great, I got 3 more I'm thinking of, and we just kind of go down that path.
I would take it a step further and say the first week is imperative, getting them in the field on appointments within the first 7 days. And I understand for most people, and I don't, that this is something they're doing in addition to and isn't their primary, but primary can take over real fast. And I'm sure that you've run into it, which is why you have that system. Let's get in the field, let's get moving in the next 30 to 45 days, or at least, get some under your belt in your by the end of your first 30 days. Adam, let me ask you this. What would you say is the biggest challenge you've had to overcome with this program, whether it's with clients or agents, or um, just challenges that maybe an employer has brought to you that you've been able to overcome?
I mean, it's great question. I mean, the biggest thing I would say is just it's time, right? It's getting the time, then making the time, right? Then getting the census. You know, I think that similar struggle a lot of people have, and it's just using the using the team at US Health Center to help out, um, to to either sign a BAA and for them to go in the system directly, or whatever that looks like. So it's just it's getting it done. It's the brass tacks of let's have a conversation. Yes, yes, you're interested, but now let's get the census so we can actually get you the information. And it's just a matter of whatever I have to do, and each situation's a little bit different. I've even offered for someone saying, no, I'll do it. And I had one person that was local. I'm like, well, great. I'm coming over to the office. I'm going to work at the desk next to you while you do it. Right.
Well, whatever it takes to
Yeah,
get
or I'll do it on Zoom. It's very similar. I do this with my agents too, and again, clients as well, which is let's just set up a Zoom. You're blocked, I'm blocked. We're focusing on each other. I'll do some other stuff until you say, Adam, stop. I want to talk to you. Or, hey, I came up with this list of 5 people. Or, hey, Adam, I just did this, payroll piece. Or is this set? Is this what it's supposed to be? Is this good? Is this good enough? So I'm just right there because you can say, hey, call me and I'll answer. But, I'm not going to ignore anyone's call, but sometimes I have back to back to back calls and I can't get back to them for a few hours, and then they're out of town for the next day. And so it's trying to stay on top of it and make it as easy for them as possible, to just make it happen. And being blunt, I think, is important as well. Not letting anyone just skate away. And I'm one where my sales training I've had, it's, I always look for a no, and I will make someone a no if it's clear they're a no, but they won't say no. So sometimes it's tactics like that. Like, listen, I hear you. It seems like it's falling at the back of the list. I'm sure you've got a lot of things going on. But we talked about A, B, and C and how important this was to you. So here's your choices, and this is how we should move forward, right? Which one do you want to jump on? So let's just make it happen. Can we take this off of the bottom of the list? It's too important to be at the bottom of the list. And so again, I think in sales, it's saying the hard thing, it's asking the hard thing and doing it in a respectful way, and challenging. I'm a challenger by nature. So I will challenge people to do what they say they're going to do. Or again, it seems like you're just straight up a no for whatever reason. Like, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want you to feel that I'm pressuring you if it's just a no. So can I say no for you? And we can just, let's move on to talk about the Cubs or something.
No, that's great. And this is for all of you. And this is totally depending on your relationships as far as challenging, because I've got a few phone calls I've got to make next week. If they have not gotten a census to you within 30 days, find out. I would take 75% of their employees and figure out what the math is of how much they cost them. I have one that I'm going to talk to next week and say, since I talked to you, you literally have lost $3,000. So, let me ask you something. If you had an employee that was costing you 3,000, you and your employees 3,000 a month, what would you do with them? Because people operate from a fear of loss. Most people operate from a fear of loss than like a gain. And when I was in the ERC space, the biggest challenge with the ERC, and I know a lot of you were involved with that, was getting the payroll information. And I had one where this finance person couldn't do it, was busy. And finally I told the owner, I said, this literally is probably at least $500,000 to you, literally. Like, is there somebody else you can put on it? And when the owner realized that, she said, I'll do it myself. And she did. I had it within a week. And I think I found 650,000 for him. I was wrong. But sometimes, guys, if depending on your relationship, I would only say this if you have a strong relationship where you can weather saying that. But if you can, I would say, listen, since we talked, you and your employees have overspent in taxes $3,000. So is there anything you wanted to add, Adam? That's pretty much all the bases I really wanted to cover.
One of the other things that I will mention, that I often do mention, is about Gavin. and be very, very blunt, right? I mean, I had the, the luck and the benefits working with, Angela to meet, Steve and Gavin before I got a chance even to meet, Will and John. Um, I also, I had a big opportunity today that that Gavin, pitched and had a conversation. Holy cow, did that get detailed? Wow. Um, this partner of mine brought just real quick. This partner of mine brought on someone that's consulting with them that used to run a massive healthcare system. And prior to that, were like ran. It wasn't an insurance company, but it was some sort of health product. So they got into these crazy weeds, it way over my head. Like just, but it was perfect. Like they were so excited just hearing Gavin talk and how he talks about things, the multiple times that they said things to him. So one of the things that I'll say is, listen, and it is the truth. This coming to Employer's Choice was sold to me after Angela introduced me to Gavin. And I was on a call with Gavin, and no offense to Steve if he's on the call whatsoever. Steve was on the call. Angela, you might remember this, right? And Steve was talking a little bit, and Gavin goes, "All right, sales is done. Steve, goodbye. I'm gonna talk to Adam." And all he wanted to talk about is, how what they're doing for people, how they're making them healthier, how what they do, actually helps people, actually saves lives. Talking about, again, the technology, the numbers, the new telemedicine that was coming down. That's what he cares about. And again, I love numbers and sales, and we're here to make money, right? But I want to know that the vendor, the company that's behind this, isn't just here for a money grab, because that's not going to help all of us. So he sold me on the fact that that's what he cares about. And I bring that up, right? That my two main reasons for working with this organization, the overall industry and this plan is because of my health that I shared earlier. But Employer's Choice specifically is because that, USHC is behind this. And I had the opportunity to spend some time with Gavin, and blew me away. Now, again, no offense to everyone else, and there's great people throughout this organization, but Gavin really, really blew me away on how he actually truly cares about the individuals that are on these plans and what it can do for them.
So I'm glad that you brought that up. I want everybody, raise your hand if you've actually gone to the US Health Center Inc. website and looked it over. Adam and Angela don't count.
I want to go. I'm going to go to their office. I want to actually go there and meet them. I didn't realize how relatively close I was to them.
That's amazing. All right.
And I push as you do, Will, as when you did some of the presentations. I push like, hey, I'm going to show you. We're going to talk about who USHC is and Gavin, but like, please leave this meeting and go and Google them. Please go to their website. Like, I can tell you anything that I want, but you're going to see on the site, you're going to see as you Google them, the great information. I can send you articles and the validation, but you can get it served up by a search engine as well. That's going to, show you all the good stuff, because there's a lot of great stuff about Gavin and the company out there.
Well, so then the reason why I brought that up, Adam, is I did. Like, Gavin's been on multiple covers of magazines. On the website, they have a link to a YouTube video that he's interviewed, going over all of the proof and the feel goods, right? Like, it's not BS what he talks about. They have proof and data to back it up. But I will tell you, I did Google Steve Tucker and Gavin, and before I was on exec calls, and just really listened. I wanted to find out where their heart was, just like you, Adam. And so, for all of you that have not done that, outside of getting in front of employers, and I know it's going to be a little tough, maybe with a holiday, but over this holiday weekend, I challenge all of you to check out the U.S. Health Center website. I want you to Google Gavin. He's been on multiple podcasts. He's been on multiple YouTubes. I mean, all of us need to feel good. I don't care. I can train all of you guys all you want. I can give you, and Angela just put Gavin Quintus in the chat too, if you need the appropriate spelling. Thank you, Angela. Um, I can train you on numbers and what to say and everything else, but at the end of the day, if you don't feel good about what you're doing for people, it doesn't matter about it, and you're not going to do anything anyway. You just aren't. And flyers and stats and all of that stuff, it's great to have, but people really want to buy whether or not you believe in what you're doing. And if you don't believe it and you have to have all of this extra stuff added to it, they're going to just question you to death. Just uh I mean, I literally every employer that I meet with, I'm thinking, man, I might be saving somebody's mom or dad. That so they don't have to go through the pain I went through when I lost my dad. you know, Adam sits down with everybody that he sits down with. And if he can prevent, and I'm sorry if I'm speaking for you, Adam, but I'm sure you probably
That's
feel this
okay.
way. But if you can prevent somebody from going through all the pain and torture you went through over this multiple times, you know what I mean? Like, it just, I mean, what a traumatic. I mean, that's not just stuff that happens to you, that's blunt trauma, what happened to you. Like, and if you can prevent that from happening to one other human being, that's serious stuff. I mean, the numbers are great. And sometimes you have to use the financial numbers to get them to get moving to get you a census, right? Sometimes you have to do that. But I mean, I live in a community where I'm very engaged and very involved. I average personally and have for the past 10 years 1 to 3 funerals a month. And I can't tell you how many people I
Wow.
see. Yeah. How many people some of them are older, but some of them could have been prevented with something like this. I can't tell you how many things on my Facebook feed that somebody is super sick with cancer and they're doing a GoFundMe because they don't have the money. And there's somebody in their 30 and 40s with kids. So the heart of this really is, predicting disease and saving lives. And I know at a higher level, or a CEO level or whatever, they might want more information, and that's okay. You can get Gavin and Steve in there, like Adam just said it. Gavin just slayed him, probably fired. I've been on calls with Gavin, and I'm sure he fire hosed him with more details than they could maybe handle. But yeah.
Yeah, they loved it.
Um,
There just happened to be someone that truly like understood all of that and the background, and they loved it.
how many employees did they have, this group?
Um, so this the first opportunity is 2000. This is actually a partner of mine, not even a referral partner or agent, but a partner of mine, a really, really large accounting firm that focuses on healthcare consulting. And so, I mentioned I have some other solutions. They have vetted me and brought me into several of their clients with a couple of other solutions that I have. Really, about water, saving water. But they love it. They love bringing it, and they allow me, because they trust me, to bring them solutions for them to vet and see if it makes sense to bring to their clients. And so I bring them things strategically, including this. And I said, hey, listen, let's start at the top. We're going straight to Gavin, right? Because if you can't get comfortable with Gavin, like, we're done. You know what I mean? And these guys like to, they need to vet. So then they bring it to a client that they're getting paid to consult for. They're very comfortable saying, oh yeah, well, we spoke to, this person, right? Um, so yeah, it was, I mean, they came in and said, hey, listen, we've had this bad experience with this other company. Gavin, do you know who they are? No. We've had this bad experience, 6 years ago with this other company. And then he got into, well, why? Why did you have the bad experience? What was it? Oh, well, here's where that challenge was. And here's where oh yeah, you're right. They did do it that way versus this way. So, but nonetheless, very, very, very supportive.
That's awesome. So, guys, for higher employee counts, we do have access to Steve and Gavin. I mean, they haven't put a threshold on that, but unless there's a comma or 2 commas involved in it, I would not necessarily get them involved, because we are not the only company that they serve. I mean, they got to where they're at because of a benchmark business they already have, right? So just an FYI, Angela and John and I were on a call with Steve last night, and Steve owns um, US Health Center, and Steve is whatever we can do to help you guys, whatever we can do on our end to make you guys successful, back end support. They believe in us. We are putting the numbers in. It is growing, and I want to thank all of you for doing that. And just keep going. The biggest challenge I hear in the field, and Adam covered that, is shortening the time frame of presentation and actually getting the census. That everything else after that, would you agree, Adam, is flowing pretty nicely? The
Yeah, absolutely.
employee engagement, payroll implementation might be a little time frames or snags or couple snafus that are like come up, but not anything like major, just little minor things that need to be adjusted along the way. But the census really is the biggest challenge. So
It absolutely is, and it just I thought of one more thing to mention, if that's okay.
sure,
Will,
yeah,
and I know you've alluded to this, Shirley, before, right? In sales, it's what are you looking to make out of this? What's your goal? And it's something that I adhere to, and I work with my agents or referral partners to as well. So let's start with a goal. Want to be earning X by this date. Obviously, it's got to be realistic. It's not going to be tomorrow. And then just start to work backwards and figure out, all right, well, what do I need to do? What's the activity I need to do today in order to get to that number? Right. And to the best of your abilities, it's figuring out your numbers and what makes sense. I'll share this very quick story. And I'm learning what this means for me here with Employer's Choice. But one of my best friends worked for Northwestern Mutual in the beginning of our careers. And this just stuck with me, right? And if Northwestern Mutual, they just train, and those folks are really going at it, and tons of activities. But their push was always 10-3-1. So I always think of and start with 10-3-1. To them, at the time at least, I have no idea if they've changed it, but 10-3-1 was, for every 10 people you talk to, 3 people will want a quote and 1 person will buy. Now, again, that's life insurance and a different industry, but figuring out the numbers for you, how many people do you need to contact? How many of them will actually get that census for you? How many of them will actually go through? And I think it's a higher percentage here with this type of situation, especially talking to warm folks. But now it's more not just the number of companies, but it's how many people do they have, and how many people do they have that could potentially qualify? Because when you look at I want to get to X amount of revenue by a certain point, right? That's going to be based on the PEPM. And so if you can do a little bit of that work and do that working backwards, you will all see the amount of activity that you need to be doing now to get to that point is a lot. And it's important to just do the activity. I think that's the biggest challenge for any salesperson. It's not just the time to do the activity, but it's, I have days where I don't feel like picking up the phone. So I do my own thing, whether it's meditation, smacking myself in the head, banging it against the wall a little bit, whatever I got to do, because I know the one thing that gets me out of it. It's picking up the phone, because I have success and I get meetings, out of it. So, of course, all the health stuff that has to go along with it first for me to feel good enough to make those calls. But it's all about that activity
no,
and getting out there.
I appreciate that, Adam. So just to give you guys some company stats, right now, as a company, we're qualifying about 75% of the employees. I will tell you the benchmark, if you're in a state that pays state income tax, 31,000 is really kind of the minimum. It gets sketchy 31 and below. If you're in a state that pays no state income tax, the minimum is 36,000. And so we have in the states that are paying state income taxes, we're seeing a lot of like 70 to 100%, as long as they aren't unless there's a whole bunch of part-time employees making, $600-700 every 2 weeks, which is under that 20 grand threshold anyway. well under the 31. Okay, I'm giving you these stats so to piggyback off what Adam said. If you are in a state that has no state income tax, we are finding, especially if they're under 36, that only 30, 40, 45% are qualifying.
Mm.
So, uh, and so I want to give you those numbers. Why do I want to give you numbers? So that you're aware that if you are approaching, like people in Arizona or Texas or Florida, that they really do need to be at a higher income tax threshold. There is no magic pill. And trust me, I've deep dived into it more than the head payroll person at US Health Center would like me to. Not, I don't mean that in a bad way. She is the most amazing person ever. I tried to find a magic pill so I can help you. That's why I did it. But there isn't so there's 31, 36. As far as activity is concerned, if you are doing this with a full-time effort, in my personal opinion, you should be trying to set 5 appointments a day. That's 25 appointments a week. Half of them are going to cancel or reschedule. You're not going on 25 appointments. You're going to go on 12 because they're going to cancel or they're going to reschedule and get back. If you're doing this more part-time, you should be scheduling about 2 a day, which is 10 a week, which means half are going to cancel or reschedule, which that means you'll be on 5 appointments. Okay. And then if you're like a referral agent or spare time, you should be going at a minimum 1 appointment a week. Those are the thresholds of where I would say, I don't know what your guys' schedule is. I'm not telling you you have to do anything. This is a volunteer army. We want you to do this because you want to help people and you want to do this for for whatever your reasons are doing, right? So if you're not doing what I just told you, that's fine. But I'm just telling you from an activity level to do this. In the comp PowerPoint presentation, if I raise your hand if an extra $180,000 a year residually, or I should say passively, would be helpful to your budget right now. Okay.
Food is expensive.
So, so thank you guys for those that raise your hand. So in the comp, right, you have to get 500 employees personal and get 3 people to do the same thing. That's what, 41 or 42 employees a month that you have to get qualified. Based on 70%, that means you need to talk to enough employers that have about 75 employees, right? That's all you have to do. You could find one 75-person employer, 75% are going to qualify you at 40 or 50 or whatever. You do that every single month and you're gonna have your 500 employees and you teach 3 people to do the same thing, and you guys are not alone. Get your people plugged into these trainings and I'll give you, you know I have people call me all the time with, Will, I had this come up, how would you say it? Well, this situation came up, how would you say this? Or how would you respond with this question or whatever? Now I can handle probably 90% if it's a deep in the weed thing, like Adam talked about with the health stuff and all the stats. That's kind of a Gavin whatever, but like I said, unless it's a huge employer, a lot of it you're just going to have to probably act on a little bit of faith that we get people healthy and that we have those stats. So just to reiterate again, our market are, if you're in a state that pays income taxes, state income taxes as a minimum threshold of 31 grand a year, meaning that most of the people they have working there are working 40 hours a week, making at least $15 an hour. In a state that doesn't have state income tax, I would say 36, even safer would probably be 40. Okay. You're trying to manage your activity. If you haven't already made your contact list, do that also over the holiday weekend. And you guys should be setting, if you're part-time with this, part-time activity is scheduling 2 a day. That should take you less than 15 minutes. And that means to get those 2, you may have had to make 10 phone calls and 8 didn't answer you, you know? All of us should be B2B people on here for the most part, right? You should have had clients that you can already go to, or you're already involved in a B2B space where this shouldn't be rocket science of saying, hey, I have something I want to show you, or hey, if I could, get your employees healthier, raise their take home pay, or put money in your pocket, would you sit down with me for 30 minutes to talk about it? So, or as Adam said, you can change it a little bit. Would you take 30 minutes to explore it? So, um, we've got a few minutes. I do have a hard close at Five Guys. Do you guys have any questions for Adam you want to ask real quick?
I did too good.
You answered it all, Adam.
Either that or I put everyone to sleep and everyone's gone
I know
and
you
they're out.
did. You had me fired up with with all of the things that you're talking about. You are definitely blazing a trail for Halo, and we appreciate that, Adam. And we're learning a lot. I know you and I've had a lot of back and forth, detailed, really pretty detailed questions, and you've helped, I think, streamline a few things that I may have missed, even in the process on the back end after doing a presentation, which has been helpful to the entire company. And so, on behalf of all of us, I mean, we just appreciate everything that you're doing and the person you are and the impact you're going to have on a lot of people's lives, whether they're
Yeah.
employers or your
Well,
agents.
Adam.
Oh, David's
Thank
got
you.
a quick
Nobody
question.
fell asleep. You did a great job, man. We learned a ton here. But I do have two. I do have two questions. And the first question I
Thank you.
have, I kind of forgot how to structure the question to you. But Will, you threw out a number a little while ago, maybe 15 minutes ago, that said, because you guys are wasting time, you blew X amount of dollars over that period of time. What is the quick calculation? What is the quick formula that you used in your head in order to make that happen?
That's okay. Yeah, that's great, David. So let's just do easy numbers. Okay. If they have 100 employees, if we're qualifying 75,
Yep.
take 75 employees, multiply that by 681, which is the annual savings we have to the employer,
And then divide that by 12.
and then divide that by 12,
Like 1 or 2.
and then you can just, whatever that number is, like 1 or 2 months, right? You can tell them that that's on the employer side. On the employee side, I would just do simple numbers at 900. It can be more, it can be less, but 900 is a safe number. 900 times 75, divide it by 12. And I would add those two numbers. Like everybody thinks, oh, with the employer lost this, bull crap. They cost their employees even more money. And normally normally the employer savings is about 70 to
The
75%
900
of
number
what
is
their
geared towards
employees are
the
getting,
employee.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So I thought that was
Yes.
pretty. I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty clever. That's a
So when-
that's a nice way to be a nice way to be firm and say, look, it not only are you wasting my time, but you're wasting your time, and you're spending money for wasting your time right now. I like that whole idea.
You're costing your employees.
Yeah, you're costing everybody.
Well, it's not only that, you're costing your employees. You're costing your employees. It was 17 grand and $23,000 for this particular client, which is 40 grand, right? Divided by, and I was very conservative in that number.
My next question
That was $3,000
my
it
next
cost them
question
last
is
month.
that
I
because
don't.
I'm here in the Philippines,
Sure.
I sell solar also, and I have a strategy in order to generate my own appointments. And so, do you know of anybody that is doing any kind of telemarketing to get into businesses? Do you know anybody out there that's doing telemarketing?
We are not doing any telemarketing with Halo at all.
We are not.
Okay,
We
so-
are not doing any telemarketing with Halo at all.
Company at all.
Okay, so
We
there's
that's
none
not.
going
We are
on.
not cold calling
Okay.
with this
No,
company
but
at
we
all.
don't want it either. We do not want any cold marketing.
No, but we don't want it either. We do not want any cold marketing with this at all. This is a warm market business.
We don't have any advertising going out.
'Cause we don't have any advertising going out. We don't have any boiler room operations. From a compliance standpoint, we don't want to mess
Well,
around with any of that.
I'd like to have
So
50,000
it's not
one people. So I mean, I'm kind of in a situation where I'm not as I'm not moving back to the States, and I'm not going to fly back and forth once a month to do business. by any stretch of the imagination.
You can call employers if you know, just call the employers that you
Well,
know.
you can call employers if you know, just call the employers that you know, David, and I know that you have a group that does
That's
that,
what I'm
or
thinking.
train
That's what my
through those
goal is,
agents
yes,
that have
okay.
those relationships and do everything over.
Bring on, I mean,
Yeah, and
bring on
yeah,
the agents that you
so
have.
just bring on, I mean, if bring on the agents that you have, and you handle all of their appointments like John and I've
Okay.
handled for Halo, right? And work through them.
Privately, oh, hey, John, how are you, buddy?
Yeah. And you and I
Well,
can talk privately about, oh, hey, John, how are you, buddy?
I need to step in, but I need this Zoom at 5 o'clock. I have another client
Oh,
that.
all right, guys. David, you and I can talk either,
Thanks,
let's
guys.
talk tomorrow, and I got to close out of this,
Adam,
okay,
very
guys?
nice. Thank you very
So
much.
thank you, Adam. Appreciate you, and thank you all for being in here.
Very welcome.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Adam.
you guys. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Adam.
See you
You're all
guys.
very welcome.
You.
Reach out if you have any questions. Happy to help. Bye, guys. Enjoy the holiday.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate you.
Happy 4th.